right, welcome to the Hunt360 podcast. We're here live in Salt Lake City at the Western Hunting Expo. I'm E3 King, and I'm here with founder of Hunt360, Jeremy Williams, and our guest, Robert Urry from Kogalla. Rob, how's it going?
It's going great.
Well, it's cool to have you here, Rob. I mean, I've really learned something here when you come by the booth here with your products. It's awesome light.
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn a little bit more about it. But before we get into the light stuff, I like to know everybody sort of like to know about you as where you come from, your engineering degrees, and I mean, you're a very intelligent man, and it shows in your craftsmanship here. So
yeah. Well, hey, I'm really glad to be here. This is a great show for us. This is our second year here at the show. So a little bit about my background is I was an engineer. I grew up in Salt Lake City. Went to the University of Utah, so go Utes. And I got an engineering degree and ended up designing. Was going to be a rock and roll star actually at one point, and playing guitar. And so I got my dream job designing guitar effects pedals for a company called Digitech. And I did that for a bunch of years, and then I finally ended up actually running the joint and had a career almost 30 years there doing audio for music, for the music industry. So that was really cool. And so I retired, and then I started traveling to all the places that I was so busy not to go to. And so I bought a trailer and retired and traveling around Utah, Wyoming, Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, just the whole area, just kind of seeing all the sights, and started taking pictures because it's like I would get so inspired. I'd go hiking and I'd get so inspired I wanted to take those pictures and bring them back with me. And I found out pretty quick that as I was taking pictures that like there's only two great times to take pictures outdoors, and that's like during the sunrise or sunsets. So I found myself either hiking out in the dark or hiking back in the dark. And so I started using headlamps and handheld flashlights, and I realized that, man, they just, headlamps kind of make me feel sick. And I just, after about wearing them for about 45 minutes, I wouldn't feel very good. And so I started trying all these different lights, and I'd probably gone through 4 or 5 dozen lights, and nothing was working. So I go, hey, I'm an engineer. We got great battery technology. We got great LED technology, and we got great power conversion technology. How come nobody's making a really great light? So I said, well, I'll make a light. And so I ended up making this light that I made it for me. And what I wanted, it was a light that would light up all the stuff around me, because I wanted to see everything around me. And every light I'd go look at, they say, oh, hey, I can cast a beam 1,000 feet. I can cast a beam 1,500 feet. And I'd be going like, I don't care what's 1,500 feet away from me. That's great, but I want to see my feet. I want to see the next, 15 or 20 steps. So that's what I made the light. I made the light to kind of be the Kogalla light to be a cone of light around me. So it's got a big spread as opposed to a spotlight that's going to shine really far. It's a big spread, and you're kind of walking in a cone of daylight. So,
it's awesome. Yeah. I mean, when we turn this on in a minute, everybody will see. It's really cool. It's really bright, or you can dim it down as well. So yeah, it's a really cool feature. So, but how long did it take you to do all this developing and design work to get it the way you want it, like you have? I mean,
well, it was kind of a process. We went through a handful of different lights, and one of the first iterations of it was actually handheld. We called it the torch. And so basically it would light up 360 degrees, and I had 4 quadrants. And so you could light up any or all of the 4 quadrants, and you kind of hold it. And then I was on a hike with my grandson, and we were headed over to Corona Arch. And that's an arch where everybody swings. Yeah. Well, they used to. The BLM actually shut that down after a few accidents, but people would swing underneath that arch. And so we were on a hike to Corona Arch, and there's a spot on it where you're going up some fairly steep stuff, and you have to hang onto the chains. And I kind of imagined myself holding onto the chain because I don't want to slip, and I'm holding onto my grandson with the other hand, and I'm going, I don't got any way to hold my light. And I was thinking of how I'd hold my light, and I go, wait a second, it's like this light's got to be hands-free. I got to be able to wear it and because I want to be able to use both of my hands. And so then we went from the torch to this the light more of a hands-free. And so we started thinking about where kind of a flatter light that you could mount on pretty much any gear anywhere. And so that's kind of how the evolution. But it took, it was probably about thought process. It was about a year going through that, and then finally kind of broke down and broke out the SolidWorks and all the electronic stuff and started designing something. And it took us about another year to get the product done. So,
well, I mean, it's really cool. It's very lightweight. And,
3.2 ounces, including the cable for the light.
Yeah. I mean, you got different battery packs.
Yeah.
You say this is a smaller one. It's 3 hours.
So that'll power it at full brightness for 3 hours, and when it's on its lowest setting, it'll power it for 3 days.
That's a lot. That's really good. So on the slowest setting on the light, when I turn it on, it'll roll for 3 days.
Yeah.
At full speed.
Yeah, and then we got a couple other batteries that there's a 6 hour 6-day battery and a 9 hour 9-day battery. Yeah.
Well, I gotta plug it all the way up. That is.
Yeah, so that's the low setting.
That is bright.
It's gonna wash out your camera probably.
And it's also what do you call it? The pulse.
It's a strobe. We did a strobe. You can set the frequency of it, and if you press and hold it, it'll turn into an SOS. And we thought that was pretty cool when we designed the light. And I kind of almost never use it.
So that's the SOS.
What's that?
That's the SOS right there.
Well, if I press and hold that down, it'll start getting slower and slower, and then it goes into SOS mode, and then it'll come back, and I can make it flash really fast or really slow. So
it's cool.
Kind of almost never use that, but
the low is it's still bright enough to
do
everything you need to do.
Yeah, you put it in a tent, and you can read by it, and
it's amazing how light it is. So show everybody, demonstrate how the magnet works. I mean, we don't really have a lot of metal here, but I mean, you can. This thing sticks on a metal surface.
Yeah,
and also,
So we got rare earth magnets in the back of it, and then we in the kit we have a magnetic backing plate, and so I can put this in a pocket, and I've got one in my little badge holder here at the show. And so now I can just mount this right on the outside of a jacket or something.
Awesome.
So that was one of the mounting methods we came up with.
And you also have the Velcro strips. It comes with Velcro strips to wrap around. You can strap it to your backpack or whatever you want to strap it to. Yeah,
there's so many different pieces of gear. We really worked hard on trying to figure out how to clips or hooks or snaps or all different ways of trying to figure out how to hook it to all the different gear. And we ended up coming up with Velcro, and it's a great invention, man, because it's it's really, really simple. Almost always the simplest things are the best inventions. It's really, really simple. I can hook it on almost any gear with this roll of Velcro. Yeah, so if you're moving through the dark, like if I'm hiking into a blind in the morning, before the sun comes up, if I'm doing that, if I take an animal as the sun's getting low in the sky and I'm going to be dressing it out, or hiking back carrying a heavy pack at the end of in the dark, there isn't a light on the planet that lights up and does what this one does. So it's awesome if you're moving through complex terrain in the dark. This is absolutely the light for you.
Sweet. I really like it. What do you think, E3?
I think it's pretty cool. Wouldn't mind having one myself.
That's what I was thinking.
I know somebody.
So what's your goals? You got anything else in the pipe work? Do you want to do with it?
Well, we've got a couple of things we're working on. We're doing a running belt because one of the things is it can fit on so many things. We need to make it a little bit. So a lot of people will mess with their gear and they like to do that. And then there's a lot of people who go I just want to clip it on and go, and I don't want to think about it. So for that crowd, which is more that's most of the population really. So we're doing a running belt for him, and then we're also working on. We found a really good designer. He used to. I won't mention the company he used to work at, but the company's here on the floor. But we found a really good designer we're working with, and we're working on a bino hub with a magnetic thing in the front. And so, because when I go out like scouting with my son all the time, it's kind of like you got to have a pair of everybody has a bino hub on.
Oh yeah, so that is a genius idea.
Yeah. So
the binoculars in the.
So you got to have a bino hub, and then you place to put your phone, and then so we put a battery in it. We put the light on the front. You got a place to put your phone. You can charge your phone. So and everybody's got if you're out there doing it, you got that bino hub. So then you got the light on the front, and I can take it off, and if I got a track or look for something, I got that light right there, and so I can just kind of keep it as a permanent fixture, and I don't have to really think about it. It's just part of my gear now. So.
Well, I've got a really good friend back home he's a deer tracker. He tracks deer with his dog at night. He's got during deer season, he is out every night. This is literally every night almost of the week from September to January, tracking deer for hunters that don't know how to shoot. And his dog goes find them, and he's always dealing with headlamps. And this is a perfect tool for him. Yeah, especially the way it clips on your magnet. He could wear it in his vest.
I'm guessing if we put one of those in his hands and he started using it, he figured out how he wanted to hook it on his gear and use it.
Well, I'm going to buy it for him.
Yeah, he'd be going like, oh my gosh, this is freaking awesome. Because one of the cool things about it, our philosophy is instead of shining on a spot, we shine on a wide area. And so if I'm looking for something, your eyes actually, if I light up a wide area, your eyes can scan like they do in the daytime. But if I have a spot, then I have to move the spot, then I have to move my eyes, and then I can see what in that area. But if I light up the whole area, then I got a 3-part way of seeing something or a 2-part way of seeing something. The 2-part way is what we all do every day. And when I light up a whole area instead of a spot, it's just a lot easier to find stuff. It takes less mental effort. So we did a lot of psychovisual studies anyway.
Well, I look at it as something else, the safety factor. I mean, so people can see you better than the solid beam, from a distance.
So it's really wide. So anybody that's in that angle or in anything that can see anything that you're lighting up, man, they're going to see you. So we talk about a lot. We talk about see and be seen from a safety standpoint. So it's really good. When I want to be obnoxious, I walk through the neighborhood and I turn it on full brightness. And of course, I'm walking against traffic, and I can't count the number of times somebody comes up. It's so bright. I turn it on full brightness, and somebody's coming the other way, and they're confused because it's so bright. They're kind of like they don't know what it is, and they flash their high beams at me to get me to turn my lights down. So, So as far as like being seen, you can see the cars like way down the road, and you can see them kind of slow down, kind of move over because they're not quite sure exactly what's going on. So I feel pretty safe when I'm walking with this thing at night. So
that's pretty funny. Well, Rob, it's cool talking with you, and I love the product. I'm gonna get one for my buddy at home. And,
awesome.
And let him give it a try. He's got all these friends that do the same thing as he does. I'm sure they all sort of follow one another, and I'm sure they'll all jump on board with this.
Yeah, awesome.
So, thank you, Rob.
Well, thanks so much. It's great nice to be here, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a great product. You're gonna do well.
Thank you.